Hey there guys, it's Megan. If you are returning to my channel, then welcome back, and if you are new, as always, welcome aboard. There's a lot of negativity around Disney a lot of times, which is sad because it is the most magical place on earth. So I thought this week I would share some uplifting stories from Disney. These are going to be some of the best interactions that I had with guests while I was a cast member at Walt Disney World. A couple of them are really fun and lighthearted. A couple of them were a little bit more serious and things that really kind of made you think and really appreciate everything that you have in life. So just some of the best interactions that I had while I was working at Walt Disney World. So I'm going to start off with one of the general kinds of things that are really great when you're working at Disney World is to be appreciated as a cast member. A lot of people find fault with lots of cast members, and I'm not saying that every cast member is perfect. Clearly they are not. But cast members do, as a whole, try really, really hard to go above and beyond guest expectations and do everything that they possibly can to make trips super magical and really fun for everyone who are visiting Disney World. So when you have guests that appreciate those efforts that you're putting in, it really makes you feel good. So a couple of the ones that really stand out to me were when people would comment on how I was performing as a Jungle Cruise skipper, people who were familiar with the script and knew the ride really well, and they would come up to me afterwards and tell me that they liked my delivery. And my delivery was pretty deadpan. I was pretty just no emotion. There it was. And one guy told me that I reminded him of a female Ryan Reynolds, and that made my day. And then, you know, it's always great when you have a compliment from a kid, because if a child is telling you something nice, they mean it, because kids don't they don't go out of their way necessarily to say nice things and lie about it. So if they're saying, oh my gosh, I really love this ride now, this is my favorite, I'm gonna trust them. So the little princess who's hopping up and down in her little plastic heels and her mermaid hair, and she's letting me know that I just made this her favorite ride. Thank you, sweetheart. I am gonna take that and I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna feel good about it for the next 5 years. And the last thing about appreciation that really made me feel good and was a really great interaction was when you had little princesses and little guys come up to you and hand you their autograph books, because I was a performer just like any of the other characters. I was like Mickey Mouse, or I was like Cinderella. I actually signed on an autograph page next to Cinderella one time, and I was like, this is it. I have made it in life. This is fantastic. I am on the same caliber as Cinderella, and Cinderella is my favorite princess, and every time I meet her, I am like super fangirl. So to get to sign next to Cindy was pretty high up on my list. So one interaction that stands out, not because it was super amazing, it wasn't super heartwarming or anything like that, it was just one of those things that can only happen at Disney World. So at nighttime, when there's fewer boats in circulation, you have to wait for a little bit longer. So, you know, sometimes the skippers are going to stall and they're gonna, you know, make conversation with people while they're waiting to leave the dock for whatever reason. So this particular night, I was standing there and I was waiting, and I said, oh, so where's everyone visiting from? And a couple of people at the back screamed out, we're from Hawaii. And my dad was in the Air Force, so I've lived kind of all over the place, and Hawaii was one of the places that I used to live. So I said, oh my gosh, no way, I used to live in Hawaii, how fun. And they said, yeah, I think I know you. Is your name Megan? And I hadn't introduced myself at this point. And I was like, yes. And they said, I think we were best friends in elementary school. And it was my friend Jessie from 6th grade who was just hanging out on my boat. Don't know how she ended up on my boat, but yeah, that was interesting. Was not expecting to see a friend that I had not seen since I was 12 get on to my boat at Jungle Cruise, but you know, Disney magic everywhere. Another one of the humorous kind of interactions that I had that kind of made my day. Again, it was a kid, so kids give some of the best interactions ever. And at the end of the Jungle Cruise, again, you may have to stall a little bit. So there is a section when you come out of where the Indian elephant bathing pool is, and you almost get sprayed by those pesky elephants that are always so playful. There's a section before you get to the end of the ride where if there's a little bit of a backup, the skipper might point out some of their favorite plants. And I always pointed, you know, I said, there's that one and that one and that one down there. And then people would say, well, what are their names? And the one up top is a hibiscus, the one at the bottom is a low hibiscus, the one touching the water is a sea hibiscus, and the one with the bark is a dog hibiscus. Ha ha, people usually laugh. Well, one time, a little girl, after she asked what their names were, and I told her that, she goes, no, what are their Latin names? I've never received that question before, so I gave the only response that I could come up with. I wasn't trying to be funny. I just said, oh, I don't know, I took Spanish in high school. And her mom laughed the entire rest of the boat. She thought it was the funniest thing. The mom's going, see, this is what happened when you try to be a smart aleck. People outsmart you. See, this is gonna, and she was making it a lesson that the child should not backtalk people and ask stupid questions. And I I wasn't trying to be funny. I'm not a funny person. And my absolute favorite interaction that I had the entire time I was at Walt Disney World was with a girl who was visiting with Make-A-Wish. So if you are not familiar with Make-A-Wish, it is a great organization. They grant wishes to children who are terminally ill and may otherwise not get to experience certain things. And they do, you know, it can be a lot of different things. And you meet, I think John Cena has done a ton of Make-A-Wish things. I know The Rock has done a whole bunch of Make-A-Wish things. So getting to meet celebrities is a big one sometimes, but another huge one is going to Walt Disney World. So a lot of times you'll get these children who come to Walt Disney World and they have a button that says that they're there as part of Make-A-Wish. And as cast members, you try to make everyone's visit super special, but you especially want to make this visit really special for the kids and for the families, because it's a really hard thing that they're going through, and you want to try to take away some of that pressure, some of that stress, if at all possible. So this particular day, we had a little princess come in, and she was there with Make-A-Wish, and she walked right onto the boat. She wasn't in a wheelchair or something. A lot of times they are in a wheelchair or otherwise being transported, not walking themselves. So she walked right onto the boat just fine, and so she came and she sat right up next to me, and I asked her if she wanted to drive the boat. I was like, hey, you look like you might be a better driver than me, so between you and me, I think we're gonna have you drive. And she was like, what? So let her drive the boat. I controlled the throttle, so I controlled whether we stopped or started, but she was steering that thing all over the place, and she did a great job. We didn't hit anything, so super proud of her. And her parents were videoing her, and she was driving, took a little stress off of me. I don't have to drive my boat. I can just focus on my jokes. So she did that for us, and it was really great. And when we got back to the dock, you know, everyone else got off, and I gave her a skipper's license, because we have those. If we find someone who might be a better driver than us, sometimes we'll let that kid come up and drive for us, and then we give them a license to show that they are in fact licensed to drive a Jungle Cruise boat. Only a Jungle Cruise boat, but a Jungle Cruise boat. So I gave her one of those, and her parents took a picture of her with me, and you know, the mom and the daughter, you know, waved goodbye, and they got off. And then the dad stayed back behind, and he was like, I cannot express to you how much this means to us, that you took a little bit of extra time for her, and this is something that she's never going to forget, and we were never going to forget. Not that everything else about being a cast member isn't worth it, but moments like that really make it worth it. When you see that you are in fact making some magic, and you are bringing something like that alive, and helping take away some stress and make everything be okay for someone, whether you are visiting, you know, just as a vacation, or you're visiting as part of something like a Make-A-Wish Foundation trip. To be able to have those interactions really drives home what Disney is all about. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about a little bit of the positive side of being a cast member, because a lot of cast members like to complain a little bit, because there are some really stressful things about that job, but there's also super rewarding things, and things that you're not going to find in a lot of other jobs. Those are my top interactions that I had as a cast member. Now, I had a ton of great guests that I met while I was there, but those are just the ones that kind of stand out to me as the most impactful, I guess, whether they were funny or whether they were, you know, really touching and made you feel good. So I'm gonna link the Make-A-Wish Foundation down below, and also the Give Kids the World Village. So if you're interested in donating or just learning a little bit more about those, I will have them linked down below. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.